Minnesota Timberwolves. They are, I don't know what they are. They're buyers, I guess, but they could be sellers if you're looking at just D'Angelo Russell and his like upcoming contract situation. Are you going to resign him in free agency? They don't really have like you're not trading Anthony Edwards. Cat can't be traded. Rudy Gobert has 131.5 million coming to him over the next 3 years. You're not getting anything for him. Nas Reed is about to hit free agency, and they're in this weird spot where they can't afford to trade Nas Reed, but they also can't afford to keep him when he's going to enter free agency. And like that's someone who's going to give you some switchability on defense and shooting and rebounding. They have Jaden McDaniels, again, someone who doesn't make nearly enough to be a difference maker. Kyle Anderson playing, out of his mind this year, or the best basketball of his career is probably a kinder way to phrase that. You can't trade a first round pick. You do have New York's 2023 second round pick. If that's something. What is the move here? Like D'Angelo Russell's contract at 31.4 million expiring. That's interesting as a salary matcher, but like what can you get for D'Angelo Russell and Nas Reed if that's the package that you're slinging out there? You're also 3.1 million under the luxury tax, so there's like some maneuverability issues there as well. I don't know what like this team. I think here's what they could stand to do. Towns being absent has sort of skewed this, and we've seen a renaissance of their 3-point shooting lately, but I do think they could use sort of a higher volume 3-point shooter. I think they could stand to really bolster their perimeter defensive carousel. And then the other thing that they kind of need would just be like someone who is a more intuitive fit with Rudy Gobert than D'Angelo Russell. And just like, I guess if you trust Kyle Anderson and Anthony Edwards to make enough plays for you, and then when you're going to get Jordan McLaughlin back from injury, that you have enough playmaking, does that make D'Angelo Russell expendable? Or he's been playing really well lately. Are you better off just keeping him and then seeing what his next contract looks like rather than folding him into players who I would argue individually would all have lower end outcomes on this season, but you might be able to just fold their smaller salaries. Like if you take on money for next year, that's money that you can trade, and it's not a D'Lo number at like 25 plus million or whatever he ends up costing you. And so I don't know what direction they take. They almost feel like they have to stand pat because they're just out of options and out of, I'll say, dispensable assets. And the ones that they can give, like, again, their best trade package right now is what does Nas Reed, D'Angelo Russell, and that New York second get you?
I mean, let me ask you, would you rather have D'Angelo Russell on this expiring deal or Kyle Lowry with another, what is it, one more year?
Oh man, I mean Kyle Lowry's been not great this season, so
Right.
it's just I don't know what the number is going to cost to keep D'Lo, and he seems like everything we hear is like he's a good locker room guy, but he also seems kind of disenchanted with the extension stuff and the trade
Right.
talks, and so it's if he's going to leave, but if you also have to pay him 3 to 4 years at 25 million a clip, like I'd rather just have the year of Kyle Lowry and keep my options open.
I think I agree. And so that's just the issue. Like, the Timberwolves are in a situation with their cap where, if you let Russell go, which seems plausible because I just don't know who's, falling all over themselves to trade for him. If he's just not back, you lose a massive salary slot. So like then you're faced with the decision of, do we just keep this guy on a big number so that we can trade him later, or just preserve that salary slot? But then like the number you sign him at, it might just not be a tradable number. So when you're asking, the most likely player to move, I think Reed makes a lot of sense for the same reasons, except it's just the money is so much less, and his role is not as big, although it's been so much bigger later. Russell feels like the guy to me where it's like, wait, stop, tell me again why they're not going to trade this guy, just because of the financial realities of keeping him and what it's going to cost to do that relative to what he brings. So I it's one of the trick, like like a Conley trade, we can get to that. We could jump right to it now if you want to, but there just aren't that many plug and play veteran point guards who would either be close to Russell in terms of their contributions this year or a little bit better at similar salaries that you would want more. But I kind of just feel like if you don't do something with Russell now, you're just kind of you're just foreclosing on a whole series of possibilities that would have been there had you done something, whether that's trading for a longer term salary or just, I don't know. Something feels like it needs to happen with him.
I would agree. with you. And the trade I have, speaking of Mike Conley, is it's a three-teamer. So if anyone's watching, they should probably look at the screen. Timberwolves get Mike Conley, Terrence Mann, and John Wall. The Clippers get Bryn Forbes, Nas Reed, and D'Angelo Russell. The Jazz get Robert Covington, Reggie Jackson, New York's 2023 second round pick, and the Clippers' 2024 second round pick. I have a tough time before I throw it to you figuring out how to value this for the Wolves. I think it matters that D'Angelo Russell is an expiring contract, as is Nas Reed, and that's going to impact. D'Angelo Russell has the highest ceiling on any single player in this deal, but Terrence Mann is really good under contract for another 2 years. I don't think the Clippers want to give him up, but if it also means getting what could be the best player in this deal, I don't know if they like Russell as the fit. Again, I'm proposing this as the Timberwolves. I think some Wolves fans might say, "Oh, we don't want to give up that, Russell and Reed, or we don't want to give up that New York second round pick." But this is just the structure I came up with. I'm curious as to your thoughts on it.
Well, the first thing I'd say is you're not just giving them up. I mean, you are, but you're making sure you don't lose them for nothing. So it's not just like, oh, is this a fair return package? It's, is this package better than nothing? Because nothing is on the table. Like, that is a real option for
That's
both of
fair.
those
That's fair.
guys. So yeah, I mean, within this season, I don't know, but long term, if the alternative is they walk in free agency and you didn't get anything, then obviously this works. I like it for Minnesota. I like Mann a lot. Conley, I think, would be like the
Better fit
adult
with
in the
Gobert
room.
than D'Lo, probably.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think that totally works. And then even from the Clippers perspective, like, you got your point guard, you've addressed your backup big need, and you got a shooter. Like, that's fine. And then the Jazz are just happy to, take whatever salary with some picks attached. They
Guys
don't
are just
care. I
happy
mean,
to be here.
yeah,
I
happy to be here.
The one concern I would have for LA is we know they like man, but
Yeah.
they do have the resources to pay Nas Reed and D'Lo. What are the chances that they do that? I mean, and they can lessen there if you were willing to give up Luke Kennard in this deal, like you could sub him out for Reggie Jackson's expiring deal since you're getting rid of both Wall and Jackson. But like, do you even want it? Luke Kennard is kind of important to what you're doing if you're not getting back a functional shooter, like a high volume functional shooter. So I just don't know how they would view it, where you're giving up man who's already under contract for two players in Reed and D'Lo, who I think help. I do think they help. I think
Yeah.
Clippers fans might push back that D'Lo helps, but I think he helps. But are you going to want to pay them?
Well, no, but I think maybe being you're not going to want to. I just, the whole reason I'm the Wolves, I want to move on from Russell so I don't have to pay him what it's going to cost. Um, there are a couple from the Clippers perspective. This is kind of a year to year thing. So if this makes us better today now, then that matters more than it would for a lot of other teams. And then I do wonder if, I don't know what matters to Russell, but he's made quite a bit of money already. And if you could tell him, we'll pay you 25 million a year, because we don't care about the money, first of all, to be the starting point guard for a team that is 100% gonna try to contend every season in Los Angeles. Like, I don't know, that goes a little farther than,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
whatever else, whatever other offers might be out there.